Hi guys, welcome back to my channel if you're a returning subscriber. If you are new, also hello, welcome. I do realise that this video is very different to the usual content that I normally post, so if my regular viewers don't want to watch this because it's not their kind of video, that's absolutely fine, completely understandable. And if you're new and have just stumbled across this video because you like books, then hello, welcome. Today I am doing something that I've never done before, which is talking about books. Like, I've never done this on YouTube before, so this is very new to me. I don't really have a structure to this video. I'm just going to chat about this book called Verity by Colleen Hoover because it is the best novel I've read in such a long time, and yeah, I just had to talk about it. Like, no one that I know in person has read this, so I haven't been able to talk to them about it. I tried chatting to my fiance about it, but he hasn't read it and I don't think he was really interested. So I thought, I'm gonna film a video and talk to people who have already read it, and hopefully we can have a great discussion in the comments. So first of all, if you haven't read the book, please stop watching this video because there are going to be some spoilers, and I really believe that this book is so good that I want you guys to actually experience reading it without knowing any of like the spoilers and twists and stuff like that, because I just think it would ruin it for you. So yeah, if you haven't read it, please click off this video, and then once you finish reading it, come back and watch this video. But yeah, hopefully everyone that's left watching now has read this book so we can talk about it. But oh my goodness, like, where did I even begin? First of all, I read this in 2 sittings. So I started it one evening, kind of regret reading it in the evening before I went to bed because like it is classed as like a thriller, and even though it's not like scary like, I don't know, like gruesome gory stuff, there's like a lot of like really messed up stuff that goes on in the book and just some like creepy things that happen. And yeah, I kind of regretted reading it before I went to bed because then I was like, okay, now I've got to go to sleep and I'm on my own, this is scary. So then I picked it up the following night and I literally just finished it because I was hooked. I think one morning I stayed up till like 2 o'clock in the morning just reading through it because I could not put it down. So first of all, that just proves what a good book it is. This is actually the second book that I've read by Colleen Hoover. I previously read Ugly Love, which I would also really recommend, and that made me want to read more of her books. So I just want to say I absolutely love Colleen Hoover's like way of writing, like her style of writing. I love how both the books that I've read have been quite like fast paced. I know that some people said, like when I looked at reviews online, some people said that this was like a bit of a slow start, but I didn't really think so. I thought this was really like fast paced. There was always something going on. It was gripping from like the get-go, and that's the sort of books I like. So as soon as I mentioned that I'd read this book on my Instagram story, all of the responses were the same. It was, are you team Manuscript or team letter? And that is what I'm basically going to be talking about in this video. So where did I even begin? I want to say, if like some of the things that I say aren't like exactly correct, it's because I wanted to film this video as soon as I'd like finished reading it, but I've only got around to it now and it's like a couple of weeks after. So if some of the things I say aren't completely accurate, it's because like I'm getting mixed up and stuff, but like it's a pretty memorable book, so I can remember like the main stuff. But if I haven't got like the nitty-gritty details correct, feel free to correct me in the comments. I absolutely love a book with twists, and this book has got twists and turns left, right and centre, and especially the ending. Like, I really wasn't expecting that, and like a few people have asked me what did you think of the ending, and like I said, I just was not expecting that. And in a way, I hate when books leave you like on a cliffhanger, but it's not like a rubbish cliffhanger like, oh, she woke up and it was all a dream, you know? It's a cliffhanger because we don't really know the truth. Like, I, as a reader, could take it, like the ending, differently to another reader, so it's really just all about perspective, and I think it's really interesting to see how different people like perceive a book and what they get from it. So I guess in one way I'm kind of frustrated because I want to know what the truth is, like what is the ending, but then like in another way I feel like if there was just the ending, if it ended just with, you know, them killing Verity and then the letter not being found, I feel like, yeah, it would have been a great book still, but I don't think as many people would be talking about it. I think it's because of that twist at the end with the letter that sort of keeps us guessing and it makes us want more. So I think it's actually a very clever ending, and like I say, it's not like a bad cliffhanger, because normally I hate cliffhangers, but this one I feel like was very well thought out, and it definitely leaves you just mind blown trying to work out what is the truth. So when I finished it, I was team Manuscript, and I still am team Manuscript, but like when I finished it I was like 100% team Manuscript. Like that letter is obviously just Verity's sort of last hope of trying to like redeem herself and sort of trying to maintain her reputation. But the book is so good that I just couldn't help myself just like always thinking about it. So I was thinking, right, what about this part of the book? That doesn't really make sense if the manuscript was true, so maybe this part of the letter is true. And I've just had all these thoughts going through my head, so I thought I would talk about them with you guys. So in regards to the manuscript, the part where Jeremy asks Verity, why did you only tell Crew to hold his breath? I feel like that was the point where Verity realised that there was like no way of her getting out of this, and I think she really panicked because, as you can tell from the manuscript, she is obsessed with Jeremy and all she wants is his love. So I feel like she knew in that moment that because Jeremy, even though he didn't know for like 100% that Verity did kill Harper, the fact that he was even beginning to question it and, you know, say to her like, why did Crew say that you only told him to hold his breath, the fact that he's even questioning that, I feel like Verity just knew that he could never love her the same again. Even if there was a small doubt in his mind that she could have killed Harper. So I feel like Verity just thought that her life was nothing without Jeremy. If Jeremy didn't love her and care for her and show her attention and she wasn't the centre of his world, then her life wasn't worth living. So I do believe that the end of the manuscript, where she said something along the lines of, perhaps I'll just drive my car into a tree, or something along the lines of that, I believe that that's what she did. She tried to kill herself because she didn't think that her life was worth living if Jeremy didn't love her. And I think that unfortunately for her, it didn't go to plan, because obviously she survived it and then she found herself in this coma. But then when she came out of the coma, her two options were to either tell the truth and show that she's fully recovered, but then risk Jeremy hating her and handing her into the police, and I don't think she could live with that. Or her other option was to fake being brain dead, and I feel like she went with this option because Jeremy would still care for her, and I feel like she knew that he would, because at the end of the day she's still his wife. And maybe even though he's like questioned, why did you tell Crew to hold his breath and not Harper, maybe he didn't fully believe or fully want to believe that she did or even could kill Harper. So I feel like Verity knew that Jeremy would feel obliged as her husband to care for her and look after her, and I feel like that's all she's ever wanted, right? She's obsessed with Jeremy, so if she faked being brain dead, she could have all that attention from him. He would care for her, look after her, and she would still have him in her life. And I think from reading the manuscript you can tell that Verity is a very troubled person. So I think in her mind, being brain dead and literally having no proper life was still worth it, because she'd have that love from Jeremy that she really craved, because she was just obsessed with him. But then I started to remember little bits of the book and I was like, wait a minute, that doesn't quite make sense, so maybe some of the letter is true. Now hear me out. When Lowen, now I don't know if I'm saying her name right and I don't want to pronounce it wrong, Lowen maybe? I don't want to pronounce it wrong the whole video. I think it's pronounced Lowen. So when Lowen showed Jeremy the manuscript, his first reaction was something along the lines of, where did you find this? Now that to me seems like a weird reaction, because if someone had just showed me like a stack of paper and literally just showed me it and be like, you need to read this, I wouldn't be like, where did you find that? Because that implies you already know what that is, like what they've held up, you know what that is, and you're like, where did you find that? Whereas if you'd never seen that before, your first reaction surely would be, oh, what's that? Or like, what is it? Not, where did you find that? So that obviously made me question, is what Verity's saying true? Because in the letter she says that Jeremy already knew about the manuscript and obviously he was really angry about it and tried to kill her. So is that true? Did Jeremy already know about the manuscript? Because to me, where did you find this means he already knew about it. So then at this point I started to question Jeremy, because I just thought, why wasn't he honest with Lowen? Why didn't he just tell her that he knew about the manuscript? Was it because he actually did try to kill Verity? Was he guilty, ashamed? Did he not want her to know that? But then I still don't see the need for Jeremy to lie, because Lowen had already read the manuscript, so at this point she absolutely hates Verity as well, thinks she's vile, you know, disgusting and crazy. So I'm sure she would understand if he just told her the truth and said, yeah, I've already read the manuscript and, you know, this is what happened. I tried to kill her, I lost it because obviously she killed our daughter. Like, I don't know. I really don't know, because I feel like if he did already know about the manuscript, he wouldn't really have any reason to lie to Lowen about it. Like, he could just be honest to her, with her, and I think Lowen would have been really understanding, because she can see what, like, all the horrible things that Verity has done. So as well as the question of did Jeremy already know about the manuscript, there was another thing that seemed a little bit off about him, and it's the fact that he had seeked out Lowen. He had given the publishers Lowen's name, so it was almost like he wanted her there in the house, and he was very adamant that she came and stayed in the house and she spent lots of time looking through the office. So then I just started to think, did he plant the manuscript there? Like, he was very adamant that, like, at first I thought, why does he want her to come stay in the house? Like, surely she can do research, I don't know, from her own home. Like, I get he wanted her to look through the office to find clues and stuff like that, but surely she didn't have to stay there for weeks and do that. And he just kept saying, like, spend more time looking through, like, really look through. I'm like, did he want her to find the manuscript? Did he already know it was there? But why did he want her to find the manuscript? Did he want her to hate Verity as much as him? So then Lowen wouldn't even question when he tried to kill Verity, well, when they both tried to kill Verity, because she felt the exact same about her, because, you know, from what she'd read in this manuscript, she was absolutely crazy. And then also, I'm pretty sure in the letter, Verity said something about how Jeremy was reading a book that wasn't hers, and that, like, really got to her. And I can't remember, I don't think it said who the book was by, but what happens if it was one of Lowen's books? Because didn't Jeremy say that he had read, yeah, he had. He said to Lowen that he read her book and that he really liked it. So then there's also the theory of, did Jeremy know that Verity was faking being brain dead and he wanted to punish her? So he basically lived out her biggest fear of him not only falling in love with someone else, but another author who he loves their work, who he reads their novels, which he never did for her. Like, was that a way of getting into Verity's head and then maybe, you know, making her confess that she's faking being brain dead, or did he just want to mess with her, get his, you know, punish her and get his own back for everything that she had done? There's honestly so many possibilities, and it's actually driving me crazy. I really want there to be like a part 2. I just need to know what happened. I'm sorry, I'm literally just throwing these thoughts at you as they pop into my head, so like I said, there's no order. But yeah, also, the letter is addressed to Jeremy, so if Verity intended for Jeremy to read the letter, then surely if Jeremy didn't try to kill Verity, he would just read that letter and he'd be like, well, that's a load of lies, like obviously that didn't happen, I know what happened. So it's the fact that she's addressed it to Jeremy, so it's like she can't lie about what Jeremy did, because obviously he would know that was a lie. Does that make sense? Because if Jeremy did try to kill her and he read that letter that Verity had wrote to him, where, you know, it says that he had tried to kill her, then he would be like, yeah, that's true. So maybe what the rest of the stuff she's saying about the manuscript just being like a fictional writer's exercise, then maybe he'd believe that. But like, why is it addressed to Jeremy? The only reason it would be addressed to Jeremy is if he had tried to kill her, because that would be the truth. Do you get what I mean? It's hard to explain. So then there's also the theory of, did Verity know what she was doing? And, you know, at this point, because you have to think, when was it that she wrote this letter? It was only like a couple of days before she died, right? Because she knew about like the whole situation that Lowen and Jeremy had slept together. She wrote about all of that in the letter, so it was literally just a couple of days before she died that she wrote the letter. But did she address it to Jeremy knowing that he would never find it and that Lowen would find it, and then know that, you know, she'd probably believe it, because the whole thing about Jeremy trying to kill her was a lie, but obviously if it's not Jeremy reading it, then Lowen might believe that. I think Verity knew that Lowen was clever and that she, you know, she'd already found out so much, so she would eventually find that letter. So I think it was really just like Verity's last sort of chance at trying to come back from what she did and trying to fool Lowen into thinking that she was actually innocent. But then I just think to myself, like, there's no way that Verity's letter can be true, because I just can't see, like, as a mother, how even if it was like a fictional writing exercise, how you could possibly write those things about your own children. I just don't see how that's possible. Like, I just feel like you would have to be messed up and really screwed up to even do that in the first place. So I just think that all of those cruel things that Verity did is true, because even if she imagined doing those things to her kids, like even if it was just a story, that's still messed up. It's just really disturbing how she could even imagine doing those things to her children, like choking them, killing them, you know, trying to have a miscarriage, trying to hurt them whilst they're in her womb. Like, it's just so messed up, and I just don't think that you could even imagine those things, even if it was just to write a fictional thing, but it being based on your children. Like, as a mother, I just don't think you can do that. So I feel like the manuscript is true, like what she wrote is true. I also just feel like the letter seems like a sort of like desperate, you know, last sort of chance, I need to redeem myself sort of thing, because she goes on about how she had time to go back on the manuscript that according to her was like a writing exercise. She goes on about going back to the start and adding in things so that she can work on foreshadowing and all that, and it just screams like bullshit to me basically. I'm just like, no. And also, as Lowen started to read more of the manuscript, obviously she became aware of what Verity was like, and obviously there was that like incident when Verity was in the wheelchair and sort of Lowen called her out, but Verity didn't respond. So Verity already knew that Lowen was onto her and like knew that she was faking it, so I feel like she panicked and she wrote that letter to try and save her ass basically. But also, if the letter was true and Jeremy did try to kill Verity many times, obviously Verity would be scared for her life, surely, right? So although she was like had said that she was planning to take Crew and for them to run away together, for her to like run off with their child, surely Verity would be terrified of Jeremy. You know, someone that's tried to kill her, what did she say, like 2-3 times that he attempted to kill her? Surely you would be scared for your life living in the same house as him, especially when she's pretending to not be aware of anything and pretending to be brain dead and not know what's going on. Like, at any given moment, surely she should be worried that Jeremy's not going to try and kill her again, you know, overdose her or something, because he gives her a medication every single night. So to me, I'm like, why didn't Verity try to explain things to Lowen? Like, I know it'd be weird for Lowen because, you know, she's trying to call Verity out and be like, I know what you're doing is fake, like you're faking it, I know that you can hear me and things like that. Yeah, it would have been crazy for Verity to turn around and start speaking to her. She would have, you know, shit herself. But I feel like surely that was Verity's opportunity to be like, it's all been a misunderstanding. He's like tried to kill me because he really believes I killed our daughter, but I didn't. Please, I just need to like set this straight. Like, why didn't she use that opportunity? And I feel like it's because she did kill her daughter. Surely if you were so terrified of your husband, you know, trying to kill you again, you would say something, right? But then you could think of it the other way and think, well, the letter was true and Verity was scared, but she had her escape plan and she didn't want to hurt Jeremy, because even if, you know, what she says was true and that Jeremy did try to kill her multiple times, Verity, like I said, was obsessed with Jeremy, and I feel like no matter what he did to her, I feel like she would love him no matter what, because he was her world. So I feel like maybe, you know, because she had her escape plan in mind, she was going to take Crew and just run away, no violence involved, because no matter what went on between them, she didn't want to hurt Jeremy, because she will forever love him, but she knows that he will never love her again. But then every time I try and like see it from Verity's perspective and believe like what's written in the letter, I just think to myself, no matter what, how could you only tell one child to hold their breath? That just doesn't sit right with me, because in that moment on the canoe, they were in one of the scariest situations ever, okay? So if what Verity says is true, that the boat just like tipped over, first of all, you're not gonna have time to think about like saying your kids' names, like, oh, let me just think about this, the boat is tipping over, I think I'm only just gonna say the youngest child's name and tell them to hold their breath, because my oldest child there, she's smart, she'll know what to do. Like, that wouldn't go through your head. I don't even think you'd have time to say hold your breath. Like, you'd be in that much panic and fear, surely like you wouldn't have time to think about what to say or whatever. But even if you did have time to say anything, wouldn't you just be like, hold your breath? You wouldn't specify anyone's names. Like, I feel like she specifically said Crew's name because it's true, she killed Harper. And I get that would be the most terrifying situation to be in the world, but how she says that she swam back with Crew and then didn't realise that Harper wasn't behind her or whatever it was, something along those lines. It just doesn't sit right with me. Like, as a parent, you wouldn't just think about one child and prioritise them. And then another question that I've been asking myself is, if Jeremy tried to kill Verity, like she said he did in her letter, why would he take her back to the house and look after her? Like, that to me just doesn't make sense. I feel like in the manuscript's version, where, you know, Jeremy sort of had an inkling that, well, not even an inkling, he was just sort of questioning, like, why did you only tell Crew to hold his breath? So he wasn't even 100% sure that she had killed Harper. I feel like he maybe felt guilty for thinking that. So if, you know, the manuscript was true, it would make sense why he took her home to care for her, because, you know, he would have felt guilty about thinking that she could have done that, and he would have felt like it was his responsibility to look after her as her husband. But then if you look at it from the letter's perspective and say Jeremy had tried to kill Verity, why on earth would he then take her back to the house to care for her? Only if he had again felt guilty. But surely even then, if he'd had a realisation, okay, yeah, she killed our child, but it doesn't put it right me trying to kill her, and he felt guilty about that, surely you still wouldn't bring her back to your family home. This woman is capable of murdering her own child, so why would you then take her home where you have another child together? I just would not feel safe. And I would also just be questioning the child's safety. Like, why would you have the woman that killed your daughter back in your family home where she could be harmful to your son? Like, surely when Verity was in hospital and they were like speaking about her coming home, couldn't Jeremy have said, you know, he didn't think he was going to be able to cope or whatever, and, you know, put her into a facility or something like that? Like, what was his plan on taking him home if he had tried to kill her? Or was it because he didn't want the public to be suspicious because, say, like, from an outsider's perspective, someone's wife is in a car accident and then the husband sort of just moves on with his life and just puts her in a facility and never bothers with her, it's gonna look very suspicious on him, and people might start suspecting, like, oh, was their marriage not so great? Like, was he involved in her near-death experience? Like, was he responsible for that accident? People might start questioning, was that why he brought her home? Okay, so I'm gonna end it here. Say that was the case. Jeremy found the manuscript. He obviously was distraught. He couldn't believe that his wife had killed their daughter. He hated her. He had all this anger and hatred in him. So yes, he tried to kill Verity. Obviously, it didn't go to plan, and, you know, she sort of came through, and to him she was brain dead, and he felt like he needed to take her home because if not it would draw suspicion to him, and, you know, he could go to prison for attempted murder, right? So he felt like he had to take her home. And say Jeremy needed a way out. He was now living in this house with her, the woman that kills their daughter. He hates her, but, you know, he thinks that she's brain dead. He needs a way out. So did he plant the manuscript? Because remember, Verity said in her letter that she was looking for the paper version of the manuscript and she couldn't find it anywhere because the computer version of the manuscript had been deleted, but the paper version she couldn't find anywhere, and she even tried when the whole house was asleep, she tried looking for it, she couldn't find it anywhere. So Jeremy obviously had it. Did he plant it, then seek out Lowen, you know, mention her name to the publishers because he wanted her to come to the house to find the manuscript and to basically help him kill Verity? Was that his only way out? I honestly do not know, guys. I have so many more thoughts about this book. I could probably talk for another hour about it, but I feel like those are like my main thoughts. But if you have any different thoughts to me, or maybe like you agree with me with some things, whatever your thoughts are on this book and like your theories on what happened, let me know in the comments down below. Let me know, are you team manuscript or are you team letter? If you are a little bit of both, you just don't know, also let me know. Just let me know all of your thoughts and we can have a huge discussion in the comments. I hope you guys have enjoyed watching this video. It's been really nice to film a different video like this, and I want to film more book related content. So I'm not really too sure how often I'm gonna post book content, or you know, what structure I'm going with or that, but I thought I would just let you know what book I'm going to read next, so that if you guys want to read it at the same time as me, and then we can sort of come back in the next video and discuss it. I thought that might be quite fun. But if you want to do like sort of like a book club thing, where we all read like one book at the same time and then discuss it, and then like sometimes you guys could recommend a book, say there's a book that you really want to read and you suggest it to us, and then we all read it together and then come back in like a month's time and talk about it. That would also be cool. So just let me know what you would like to see. But yeah, this is the book that I'm going to be reading next. It is again another book by Colleen Hoover. Don't worry, I'm not only going to be reviewing Colleen Hoover books, I just bought this one at the same time as this, so I want to read this one first before I buy any more books. So it's called It Ends With Us. If you have read it, please don't give me any spoilers, but if you haven't read it and you would like to, then it'd be cool for us to read it at the same time, and I think my next book related content will be sort of like a review and a discussion of this book. Thanks so much for watching, guys. I really appreciate it, and I will see you again soon for another video. Bye!